Now, this is fighting talk where I normally try to land a blow on the hypocrites. And there are no bigger hypocrites than those zealots that I talked about earlier, wearing their ever larger poppies ever earlier and excoriating those of us who are not wearing them. These fake hypocrites, their faces waxed with fake grief, never answer the fundamental question: if war is such a terrible thing, how come they're so gung-ho to be sending our young men into more and more of them, more and more regularly? I used to see them at the cenotaph there with Her Majesty, these ministers and shadow ministers, for there's almost always an ironclad consensus in the British Parliament for war, not to go and fight themselves, of course, ready to fight to the last drop of other people's blood, ready to send other people's sons into the maw of these ghastly conflicts. I myself bow my head at the victims on all sides of all wars. But I will not wear a poppy and dress like these hypocrites who try to tell us that there's some equation between the wars built on a tower of lies for the edification of and the enrichment of American and British multinational corporations, oil companies, gas companies and the rest, that there's anything similar between these wars and the war of 1939 to 1945, for example, a noble and heroic war when for a time this country stood alone against the real forces of barbarism and fascism in the world. But I bow my head in remembrance today of the victims of all wars in all history, whether I agreed with those wars or not. I just don't want to line up on parade with people who even now are plotting and conspiring, even as they grieve the fallen of former wars, to send more to their deaths in future wars, and maybe some not far distant from now. That is, unless they think twice about the consequences, not just for those they send into wars, but for themselves if they do. Well, all we've got time for. I'll be back next week, God willing, at the same place, in the same time.